Hi, I'm Ben Stanhope.
And I'm Zach Leewold.
And I'm Jake.
And welcome to the Movie Vault, or the Movie Network, because we're doing the social network today.
And you're on a streaming service, which is technically like a social network.
You might be seeing something about this on Facebook, but probably not because we don't have a Facebook. But anyway, this movie was directed by none other than David Fincher and released in the year 2010. It grossed $224.9 million on a $40 million budget and got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 96%, and was also Quentin Tarantino's favorite movie of the 2010s.
That has big.
It's my favorite movie of the 2010s too.
And it's Jake's. I would argue that that's more important than what Tarantino thinks, because
Yes.
Tarantino's he's kind of annoying to listen
Does
to.
Tarantino have a letterboxd?
Probably not.
Yeah,
You know
and
who
Jake does.
You know who does
Yeah.
have a letterboxd? That guy, the guy who made Searching. He has a letterboxd.
Oh,
You can
really?
Follow him. Yeah.
Oh,
Does
So-
he have 300 followers like me?
He might not.
you have 300 followers?
Yeah.
Go follow. Wait, what's your letterboxd? It's like Film Talk YT,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's what it is.
Yeah. So go follow Jake on Letterboxd. And follow me on Letterboxd, Titanium Vulture. It's a stupid name, but I haven't upgraded to Pro, so I can't change it.
And also follow the Movie Vault Pod at just the Movie Vault Pod. I'm used to saying at, but the Movie Vault Pod on Letterboxd.
And we might as well go over our social medias while we're at it.
Go ahead.
So email us at themovievaultpod@gmail.com. Our Instagram is at themovievaultpod, and our Twitter is at movievaultpod, where we were retweeted by none other than Bernie Rayo,
The director of
Killer Sofa. So
Yes.
that is big news, and we thank Bernie. We know he retweets a lot of things about his movie, but we appreciate the gesture because we don't have a huge Twitter following. It helps us
Yeah.
out a lot.
Ben, you know what we just did? We actually plugged it at the beginning.
Yeah, we have been talking
first
about
time.
doing that for weeks, but we never got around to actually doing it. So, Zach, what'd you think about this movie?
This is a movie that you are listening to on a social network right now about the start of a social network that might or might not be accurate. I know that's literally just a statement, but it's what I thought of this movie.
Wait, did you actually say anything of substance in that, or are you just saying like this might be important or it might not?
It's up for interpretation.
Zach, did you like the movie?
I love the movie.
Oh, that's what we're getting into now. So we have three categories that we like rate movies in at the start of the podcast, and we call it botch, watch, or top notch. So botch would be like it's despicable and horrible, nobody should watch it. Watch is like most movies are like in the bell curve of like watch, like some general area of like, yeah, you should watch this if you're interested in it. And then top notch is like you shouldn't go the rest of your life without, like, you need to watch it this instant. So
It's essential.
yeah, it's essential to film in general if you like film. So
I'm just going to go straight out the bat. I think it's definitely a higher end watch for me. I don't think it's top notch, and I know Jake might disagree with me, which is great. I love that.
I very much disagree.
And I really love this movie. Maybe it'll take a couple more viewings for me to, one, fully understand everything that happens because it was very fast paced. But for now, I'm going to give it a top notch of a watch.
So you're saying you're giving it a top watch?
Top watch.
We just invented a fourth category, which totally dilutes our system, but whatever.
Who cares?
I would give it a top notch, I think, because I like this film is really important. So when this film came out, it was a big deal, and like a lot of people would argue that it's David Fincher's best film, and David Fincher is one of the most important directors of our time. So I would argue that it's top notch, even if I like a few other of David Fincher's films better than this one.
I think it's top notch. It's my second favorite movie of all time, and I've watched it twice in the last 24 hours.
That is true. And I saw you watch it yesterday. I was like, oh, I hope he isn't like he gets here and he's like, oh, we're watching it again. But
Yeah, we definitely are filming this way later than I thought we were, but I
yeah,
don't really care.
we are a little bit slow. We will admit that.
So what is your favorite movie then? Your first
Back
one?
to the Future.
That's a good one. It's in my top. I think it's in my top 50. It's somewhere around
Yeah?
there. But
They're very close, though.
very close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like me with Donnie Darko and Inglourious Bastards. I just go back and forth.
Donnie Darko's number one right now, though, right?
Yeah. I did move Donnie Darko up to number 1. So go back and listen to our Donnie Darko episode to know why.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. Okay, so the plot of this movie is basically you can just look up Mark Zuckerberg on Wikipedia and you can find out all the stuff that happened in this movie. But it's just like the story of Mark Zuckerberg inventing Facebook, and he had this. So there's who's the other his second in
Eduardo.
command, Eduardo, yes, and then the twins.
Oh yeah, the
I should be asking Jake these
The
names.
Winklevoss twins.
The Winklevoss twins. So they had the original idea for Harvard Connection. He sort of stole it from them. It's debated over whether he really stole it from them or whether they just didn't have the necessary talent to make it a. He did lead them on a little bit, no matter what. And then
he's not good at communication.
And then Justin Timberlake plays
Sean Parker.
Sean Parker, who is a famous internet business person known for making Napster mostly.
And one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen in a movie.
I wanted to punch him through the screen.
I actually liked him, so I don't know what that says about me, but
How in the world could you like him? Everything about
He's
him.
purposely unlikable through
Yeah.
the entire movie.
yeah, but like, he's cool.
No, I don't think he is at all.
I mean, I suppose you're right. Like, if you actually objectively look at what he does, he just has an engaging personality. All he does, he sort of does some things to help Facebook, but he does like double the amount to drag Facebook down because he's like totally distracting everyone who's working at the house
Hey, it's
from what they're
JT
doing.
though. It's JT.
It's JT though. He can do whatever he wants. Or it's Sean Parker. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But you can tell why he flamed out because he didn't have necessarily the dedication that he's more of a visionary.
Yeah.
There's actually a very interesting thing about this movie. The whole thing that pushed off the whole Facebook and face mash and stuff was his girlfriend,
Yes.
and she doesn't even exist in
Wait.
real life. They just made that whole thing up.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, so Mark Zuckerberg didn't take this movie very well, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's like
yeah.
a huge part of this movie.
Yeah, it was in the movie. It was sort of like a catalyst to like push it.
Yeah.
But in this, it wasn't out of spite. He just wanted to create a social networking forum for everybody. So
It is interesting because they say that it's his motivation. Like, it's just something that
Yeah.
other people did. Sean Parker did, and then the theme was that he was following in that same way to do it in spite of a girl. But if that doesn't exist, then really the foundation of, like, the motivation behind starting this whole Facebook thing, the Facebook, is flawed. It's interesting.
Yeah, that changes my perspective on the movie a little bit. I mean, obviously it works very well in the narrative of the film, but I think we'll probably get more into it when we actually go over more details of the plot later. But we never got a quote of the movie. What's the quote of this movie?
I don't know. There was a few things.
The chicken one?
the
Yeah,
chicken one is.
There were a lot of good allegories in this. Yeah, I don't know, like the trout and the.
Oh, like when
the ending scene when he
Andrew-
smashes the computer.
Oh
That
yeah,
was good.
that scene is probably like what the scene that people think
That's
of
my
the
favorite
most
scene.
in the movie when he just starts reacting. He's just so upset about like everything that's happening.
I do want to say the Amazing Spider-Man. I liked him way better in this than
Well,
Yeah.
as Spider-Man.
I think that's what happens when you have all these actors are good, but like David Fincher elevates all of them.
Well, have you guys seen Hacksaw Ridge?
Mhm.
Andrew Garfield in this and Hacksaw Ridge are probably my favorite.
He
of the two.
is a very, very great actor. It's just
Yeah.
he's most known for Spider-Man, the Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Which unfortunately, I think I haven't watched those two movies, but I think they're like the two worst
they're
Spider-Man,
considered that, and
or
I
Spider-Man
sort of agree.
3.
I sort
But
of agree.
yeah, and Armie Hammer, I don't think he's sort of back and forth in terms of like what people think of him, but he was pretty good in this movie as both of the Winklevoss twins. Actually, I think somebody else like actually played the physical character, but
Well, somebody here pointed it out that why didn't they just cast twins? And I was kind of thinking about that, but instead
they added
just
so much work.
I think
Yeah.
it would be too hard
Yeah.
to find two twins who fit the exact profile that they wanted. And with somebody like with this big budget of a movie, they're probably like trying to get as many big names. And Armie Hammer is like at least a somewhat big name.
And also,
Yeah.
Rashida Jones, a Parks and Rec and Office veteran, was in this, and she plays like an inquisitive lawyer type. And
Yeah.
it's a little interesting. I mean, I doubt that she had played a role in real life.
Yeah, she's probably
Yeah.
also a made up character.
she might actually. I mean, all the characters do really terrible things throughout this movie, so I guess technically she might be the most likable character of the movie.
Yeah, because she doesn't actually do anything bad, and she's not like annoying like the other lawyers. Like the
Yeah.
other lawyers don't necessarily do anything bad; they're just being like
Lawyers.
lawyers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I will say I don't think that Eduardo. I think Eduardo was a little past time. Like he was not putting in the full effort as the CFO. Like he should have done his research. He should have went like and been in the ground, like actually doing all the business.
Yeah,
deals.
like he tries to paint himself as the victim, but I'm guessing in real life it was more like he had more. I mean, I get he was putting more monetary investment into it, but like in the grand scheme of things, I don't think he was as committed to the idea as Mark Zuckerberg is, and that's what sort of led to his downfall. But
of course, I never want to say like you should kick out your partner. You should just like, talk.
Yeah,
There should be
but
a
the way-
Reduce
communication.
everybody's pay leave everybody's pay except his.
Yeah, that was the part that was like, okay, the ethics of this are like he
And by
knew
a
what
lot.
he was. He knew what he was like. Mark Zuckerberg knew what he was doing when he
And I always wonder.
was
like,
diluting the stock, his stock.
I was wondering throughout this whole movie, like, is the story that's being told from the legal standpoint of what was manuscripted, or is this from personal stories, or like how is the
Because
story
all
taken?
all of the legal proceedings were not.
They're probably documented, right?
They're not, but I don't think they're public records. Like I think everyone has to sign like a non-disclosure agreement. So
Yeah, for
we-
specifics, but I wonder like where would they get this information to do it, or do they just know like the emotions and what actually happened, and they have to fill in the blank with details?
I think it was actually based off of a book, and Eduardo Saverin was like somebody who was interviewed in the book.
Oh,
So,
you're right.
Yeah, I think that it was probably just that, and they took his
Interesting, I'll have to
thoughts
look
out of
into
it.
that.
Yeah, because they did mention the book in the opening credits. I think it was called "The Accidental Billionaires." It's by Ben Mesrich.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in more background details on this movie, I guess that would be the book to read. So we like to bring an outsider in, usually a critic that we find on Rotten Tomatoes, who didn't like the movie. Which on this movie, 96%. That's not like that many of the critics. But Michael Atkinson, Mikey here, he didn't like the movie so much. He just said it was a zesty advertisement for the meaningless Facebookization of our daily routines and the further squandering of our free time. So it sounds like he more has a personal vendetta with Facebook than
Well,
he
that's
didn't
like
this movie.
that's such a terrible like just thing you can say against a movie. Everything, whenever somebody doesn't like a movie, they just call it advertising at this point. Or
Yeah.
I see that so much on like everything, and it just that annoys me.
That's true. Did this really advertise Facebook in a positive light? Like
it
that's
made
the
it look
question.
terrible.
Like I feel like it didn't really necessarily shed all positivity on what Facebook was.
I don't know. I want to make a movie of all Facebook after this. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess you're right. Well, the thing is, I don't think the movie was really about Facebook though. It was about the people who made Facebook. So it's sort of like to say the movie was about like it was about Facebook.
They
but
did it. Yeah, they did a good job separating the code from the characters.
Yeah, like it was about the interactions between the characters and like the tense situations that resulted from starting Facebook, not necessarily like Facebook's impact on society.
Yeah, I don't think that they ever doubted that Facebook was a good idea. I think it was just like how to proceed with that good idea.
And with the characters, might I say, Aaron Sorkin's writing here.
Oh, is this Aaron
top
Sorkin?
notch. Yeah.
Oh, he's
my
one of the best.
favorite screenwriter. He's written, I think I've seen 3 of his movies so far. This, Moneyball, and Trial of the Chicago 7, which they all have very good writing. This
Yeah.
dude is able to just write really boring situations and make it look just absolutely
Well, that is
incredible.
definitely. I'm trying to because I've heard the name before and I didn't necessarily connect it to being to him being. Yeah, so he actually directed the Trial of the Chicago 7, which came out last year, and he also wrote Steve Jobs, which makes sense.
Yeah, that's on my watch list.
And then he did A Few Good Men, which I haven't watched, but is like a courtroom drama with like I forget. I think it's like who's in this
It's
movie?
got Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise. I've definitely heard of that movie.
Yeah.
But that would be another boring situation. It's like a courtroom movie, but I've heard it's like very like grabs you in just like this movie does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that because I was wondering the whole time as I was watching, Jake. It was like, wow, this is like they're all just talking and they're all just like talking about legal disputes and stuff.
Well,
like,
that's his thing, and he does the really fast-paced dialogue thing, which is really great, especially by the actors who Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield are really good in this.
I believe that Jesse Eisenberg was Mark Zuckerberg. Like he first of all he looks like Mark Zuckerberg at least enough to like you don't see pictures of Mark Zuckerberg everywhere. So like your image of him, you can like translate it into like what Jesse Eisenberg looks like, and like the way that he walks and stuff is like you would imagine somebody who's like into coding and like really just like this is their thing. That's how they would act.
He talks super factual and like super pointed.
He doesn't have a lot of social awareness. He can't like
Yeah.
diffuse situations. He often like escalates conversations unnecessarily. Like he'll say something because it's true, but it's not necessarily the right thing to say at the moment. And he doesn't understand why people get mad at him when he does that all the time. I think he sort of does, but like at the end she's like accuses him of like trying too hard to be a jerk.
And again, whether or not he can control that is one of the main problems in this movie, because if they were just to communicate, especially Eduardo and Mark, like if they were to just communicate, there would be a lot less problems. Sean Parker might not have been in the picture and they might not have gotten all that trouble.
Yeah,
there were a lot of problems that could be resolved early on with through dialogue. You know?
I did see something about Jesse Eisenberg that made me kind of think. A lot of people think he just plays the same character in every movie, which in a way he sort of does.
He probably
just
does get
always plays
typecast.
like the jerk character.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah. When he was in Now You See Me.
Yep, I've
right?
seen those.
Wasn't he in Zombieland?
He's always the charismatic, prideful
Yeah.
character.
I always say he reminds me of Michael Cera, except for he has like Michael Cera is a little bit more I'm not like pathetic
And
acting.
Jesse Eisenberg gets work.
He plays George.
Oh yeah, Michael Cera's even more typecast. I would
Yeah.
argue. Yes.
Yeah, Michael Cera from Arrested Development. He plays like the loser kid.
And Scott Pilgrim.
And Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, Scott Pilgrim.
And
And
Super
like,
Bad too, right?
Yeah, and he got cast in something recently that's like big, but I can't. No, he got cast in the new Wes Anderson movie.
Oh.
Oh yeah, French Dispatch.
Yeah. So Michael Cera does work, but like I would, Jesse Eisenberg's probably done more stuff. But I don't know. They just remind me of
Does
each other.
Jesse Eisenberg look like what's the Brooklyn Nine-Nine guy?
Andy Samberg?
Yeah, I think they.
I
look
guess
alike.
I can see like the personalities don't really align, but
For
like
me, it's the nose.
the facial features do.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about this, guys. So what if the power grid went out?
You're just
And-
thinking about this.
And you like don't have Facebook, like you can't buy anything, and like all of a sudden your electricity is out, and then something happens with like your house, and then you like have to pay for stuff, but you don't have the internet. Well, you need to have insurance, right?
Right.
This is a terrible lead-in, but I'm trying my best here. So you should call Hedman Anglin Agency if you have any needs in auto, home, and business insurance. And they would love to help you out on anything in that regard. So you should call them at 614-486-7300. That's 614-486-7300. And if you do contact them, make sure to tell them that Zach and I sent you. And that's the mic that they allowed us to use for this podcast, and we
reveal.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's better than this mic.
Yeah.
But we're also getting a new mic, so that's exciting.
Not that anyone cares.
Not that anyone cares. Yeah, I care because the audio quality will be better.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so now we can get into the actual. So we score things on a 100-point scale, with each there being 10 different segments, and each segment is rated out of 10. So usually what we have guests do is a lot to like think about, but we'll just like tell them what the category is, and then they can like hear what our scores are, and then kind of decide. I have a feeling that you might be quicker to knowing what you would rate each section
Maybe.
than some people are. But yeah, so our first is sentiment. So this is like how much did you like the movie, and did you like connect with it emotionally? So I gave this an 8. What did you give it, Zach?
And my score is 6 because it's like my first time, so I don't know. It's just like I feel like if I were to watch it one more time, then I would actually rank it higher. But I mean, my truth is that it's a 6 right now.
Okay. And now, Jake, go ahead.
It's a 10.
I figured you would say
I
that.
I love this movie. I think everything just works really well, and you can like sort of sympathize with all the characters, the main ones, Eduardo and Mark, because I mean the whole thing at the end just tries to make Mark likable, and I thought kind of worked. And then Eduardo, obviously, is just really likable throughout the whole thing, and you can kind of connect with his character.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with that. And so, yeah, sentiment definitely went up for me. But now we'll get into message, which is like what is the point of the movie, or like the moral that you should get out of it.
Yeah, so I feel like there are a few things. I gave it an 8. I think it was a really good message. I think that the message is like, I don't know. I feel like there are certain situations in life that are very pivotal to where your life is going to go. And I think it's important to, make the right decisions about it. And obviously communication was a theme in this. Like, they didn't communicate. They would just brush off certain conversations that needed to happen that Eduardo would try to bring up. But Jesse would just start moving on to the next thing. Or not Jesse. I meant to say
Sometimes
Mark.
it's easier just to say the actors' names.
Yeah. Mark would just move on to the next thing, And I'm not sure if that's real life, but based on the characters, it's just communication was a big theme. So I think it's super important in real life because, like, when Ben and I, when we don't communicate, we just argue and argue, not really.
Yeah,
But-
we just fight a lot, and
Yeah.
it wears on us. And sometimes we've been this close to quitting doing the podcast.
We split the movie vault. Remember we did the movie podcast and the
Vault
vault
podcast. Yeah, that was what I was gonna do. My whole thing was gonna be reviewing bank vaults, like for a living. And now we're back together though. Like we made it work. We're giving it another go, and we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Well, it's not. Well, I gave it a 7, so now Zach's gonna get mad at me. No, I just gave it a 7. I think it's a good message. I just think that like it gets a little bit convoluted in certain places of like what you're actually supposed to learn. But like I don't know. It might just be like I don't know. I'm still deciding on exactly what I think this movie is about. But I definitely see all of what Zach said with like the different things you learn from how the characters interact with each other. Sean Parker talks big talk, but then he's like kind of a terrible person actually,
and a loser,
and a loser. Like he's like the exact opposite of how he portrays himself, which goes into the idea that we see in on social media and stuff right now about how like the narrative is everything. So like his narrative was that he's the super successful person, and he's like selling that to people, even when in reality that's not how it was actually like. But he sold Mark on the idea that he was a winner and he could get him these things that Eduardo could not. So I think that's really interesting. So after I said all that, maybe a 7 seems a little unfair, but that's just what I wrote down. So, Jay.
Now, mine might actually surprise you. I'm gonna give it an 8.
An 8
in this because I think it doesn't really have a super clear sort of message to it, but I think that it's sort of telling you not to screw out your friends and stuff like that, and the characters work really well together and sort of convey that. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but I think it's also important to point out, and sometimes we forget this, it's not always good for a movie to just like flat out say what it's trying to tell, like what you should learn from it, because then it's just like you're listening to like a lecture, or like a movie is supposed to be artistic,
and we get enough lectures already from school.
Yeah, if a movie was just like this is what you should learn, then there'd be nothing to think about after the movie, which is what as I've gotten into films that are a little bit more abstract, I've appreciated about them, because they'll make me think about the movie even after I finish watching. So it's not always a bad thing to not have a super clear message, but in some cases here it might have been like, what am I learning exactly?
No, yeah.
Are they portraying a good thing?
I agree with that. I think interpretation. I like answers. That's just my. It's just my personality, And Ben likes the open-endedness, the analytical. I don't know, whatever, and whatever you want to describe us as.
Ambiguity.
Enneagrams can describe our personalities, whatever. But I think I like about this movie is that the open-endedness isn't dumb. There are many movies where the open-endedness is dumb, and you don't feel like you feel like there's a meaning, but I don't want to read through paragraphs and paragraphs of articles to find out what the meaning is. Okay, I think
every Christopher Nolan movie.
Yes.
Tenet.
I think that I can find out the meaning of this if I just think hard about what happened, and there's many memorable moments in this movie where I can think hard about what happened and remember and just feel like, oh, this is probably what they were trying to get across, and this is a good moment, just all the interactions between the characters, and I think that's important in a movie, and ambiguity works for this movie.
Yes. Okay, now plot. I give it a 9 because it's very clear, very concise, and it's very sharp, and it gets what it needs to get done in 2 hours, which is not bad for this movie. It's pretty good runtime.
I agree. It's 8. I gave it an 8. So I think it's very cutty, which is good in this movie. I think they just go like Jake said, dialogue happens so quick, and you're just learning new information really fast. But I think that's how this movie, I think that's what the characters, the real life characters, real people experienced, So I think it was just all happening fast.
Just listen to how fast Zach's talking right now.
Yeah, I'm talking like Jesse. I mean, not Jesse. Who is he? What's his name?
Mark. That's the easiest character to remember.
Yeah, there's Eduardo, and you can
I'm always trying to think of what Eduardo Savron's name, or the Winklevoss twins.
For some reason, I can't remember Mark Zuckerberg. It tells you how much of an influence movies have compared to social media.
Yeah,
all
I
my
guess
life.
that's true.
Now, I gave it a 10 just because of how lame the story would be, but they managed to like amplify it just in this movie. The
Yeah.
writing and sort of David Fincher just really amplify the plot, and just it kind of shows and leaves a big impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really good.
Okay, character arcs. I gave it an 8, but like I'm thinking about it and I'm like, there were some good character arcs, but there was a lot of like, I guess like, you know, the main ones are Mark and Eduardo, and that was like the whole meaning of the whole message of the movie was like sort of their friendship, how it collapsed, and like how their communication caused. So I thought it was pretty well done. Some of the characters are kind of flat, some of the side characters, but that's okay. I mean, that's what side characters are supposed to be for.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Nate. I think the focus of the movie was obviously Mark and Eduardo, and I think that their relationship really took the movie home for me, because it just, I don't know, it really does remind me of a lot of real life relationships that I have, where sometimes I'm the Mark and sometimes I'm the Eduardo, you know, it just depends. And it I don't know, it's real, you know, and they're both really good actors, as we said. That's more acting, but the character arcs kind of go with it. Like Mark kind of learns like, wow, maybe I'm not making the right choices. Maybe like it's not just all about passion for a certain thing. It's all, maybe there are other things in life besides like my one passion, you know?
Yeah.
There are other things. There's life
Like,
is not just
he
a
could have been helped out
monosystem.
by watching Soul, maybe.
Yeah. Joe Gardner.
That movie
could help
is
him
really
out.
overrated. I think it's a
that
good
was my
movie.
highest rated movie on this podcast.
I love that. Was it
Really?
I forgot about
Yeah.
that. I think
No.
mine was 10.
It's on like the IMDb top like 100 or something.
Well, the
and I don't know if
IMDb
it
top
deserves
100 is a terrible list of movies.
we
I will
should see
say.
Ben's list
Fair
of
enough.
movies.
I mean, I won't say it's terrible, but like, it's not the greatest.
They have 12 Angry Men in the Dark Knight in the top 5, so that's good enough for me.
I mean that's fair. I've never watched 12 Angry Men. I wouldn't be a fan of necessarily putting The Dark Knight in the top 5, but I get it. And I'm really not a fan of Shawshank being number 1, because talk about overrated movies. It's good, but like, geez, number 1 of all time. Like,
We're actually near. I went to the actual prison where they filmed Shawshank Redemption.
I mean, I know why people like it. It's a heartwarming movie.
Morgan
but
Freeman.
it's
Come on.
That's true. Morgan Freeman, you know.
Morgan Freeman has to be in the top movie.
Yeah. Well, okay, fine.
He has to.
Or Samuel L. Jackson, one of the
That's
two.
true. They're both in so many movies.
Or Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay. Anyway, what did you give character arcs? Jake?
For me, character arcs, I gave it an 8 as well.
Okay.
I think Mark's character arc was actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of averaged it out between Mark and Eduardo. Mark, I think, has like a 9 character arc, just because he sort of realizes, it's like what you said, that his dream isn't everything in life. But Eduardo didn't really give, he had a character arc, but not like an extreme sort of range in character throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I
he
agree.
got angry at the end, but he kind of stayed
That was like
the
the
same
peak of
through
his
the whole
character,
movie.
yeah.
Whereas you sort of felt for Eduardo through the whole movie, but Mark, you really felt for him at some points, and then you just didn't at other points, and I think that sort of shows his arc in it.
Yeah, I think another piece of Eduardo's character arc was that, like, in the beginning of the movie, Mark will just interrupt him, and like Eduardo will be like, "Oh yeah," and then like Mark will be like, "Oh, we have to do it this way," and Eduardo's like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure." Like, he just agrees with everyone. You
He'll
know?
let him walk all over.
Yeah,
him.
and then the girl's like, "Oh, you want to go out to dinner?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, sure." You know, just like he's just saying he's a yes man. He's saying yes to everything. And then at the end of the movie, he's like actually standing up for himself and doing it. And that's like a side character arc compared to his main character arc. I thought it was cool.
Because you're right. That's really important to point out how his girlfriend walked all over him, because that was probably in the movie to show.
She caught the thing on fire.
Yeah,
dumb.
to show how he was with all of his relationships. So it adds more context to why he acted this way with Mark, because he didn't know how to like stand up for what he actually thought was the way to go.
London Tipton from Zack and Cody is that much of a jerk in this movie.
Yeah, she's a terrible person in this movie.
Yeah, London Tipton's also a terrible person. Just probably doesn't use the same language.
Probably.
Okay, so now we're on cinematography, which is like, so a lot of this comes down to editing. I think that this was an extremely well edited movie, and the lot of the shots were really interesting, and it's also that like this movie is not that wouldn't necessarily be what you would think would be the most interesting to shoot. Like if they would have shot this like 20 years ago before like David Fincher, it would have just been like really boring.
They did win Best Editing.
Yeah,
at the Oscars.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
And so I give it a 9, because I guess it's not. it's hard to give things a 10 because I feel like there'd be other movies that I might be more considering on the 10, but like it's definitely very high up there in terms of editing.
Okay,
I
just
and
changed mine.
cinematography. I mean,
I just changed mine from a 7 to an 8. I really liked it. I agree. Now that I think of it, it was like they took a, like, again, as Jake said, a boring situation, made it really fun, and the editing was like so fast. And I like it fast, but you miss a lot. That's the only thing. So it does take a rewatch.
it's not quite as like intense as something like Scott Pilgrim, where there's like fast editing,
It's like
or like
extreme- it's like video game
any
editing. in
Edgar
Scott
Wright
Pilgrim.
movie that like there's like just really fast edits, but it's still pretty fast. Like even for Fincher does that in like Fight Club and stuff too. It's kind of like his signature style. But
Yeah.
yeah. So what did you give it?
I think I'll probably give it a 9 as well. I think that it wasn't as like I really thought the editing worked really well. Obviously, it won best editing, so I'm not in the minority there. But because I think the sort of way it was super fast paced worked, but also the editing wasn't nearly as noticeable as other movies like 1917, for example.
Oh,
with
yeah,
cinematography and stuff.
That's true. That's a very well shot movie.
But
top 25.
yeah, probably top 100.
Top 100 in terms
Something
of
like that.
shot. I'm trying to think exactly what movie. I'm not sure there's a movie that really comes to my head as well. Wow, this is the best shot movie. I mean, 1917 is probably up there. Although the downfall of 1917 to me is that the shots is like the most interesting part of the entire movie.
Interstellar and 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh yeah, I need to
Probably
watch
up there,
those too.
too.
Those
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah, those are must watches, Ben.
I know.
Especially
I know them.
2001.
Yeah, that's
Interstellar, I probably like that more than 2001, but 2001 is more of a must-watch.
I've only seen one Kubrick movie, and it's A Clockwork Orange.
2001
That's
is
not
Tom
the one you
Hanks.
just started with.
2001 is Tom Hanks' favorite movie.
Oh, that
Really?
I believe
So
it.
you have to watch it. I
That
saw it in
makes
an
sense.
article.
Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors.
Very nice
He's in
guy.
a lot of stuff.
I haven't met him, but I'm assuming he's very nice.
And probably the most chill dude in Hollywood.
Yeah, he can play. He has a good range.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he does sort of play a type of character, but like the types of characters he always plays are like the types that everyone like sort of like gravitates towards. Like
Yeah.
he played Mr. Rogers in that one
And
movie.
he was in Big.
He was in Big in
Compare his
19 in the
character
80s.
from Big to Saving Private
oh.
Ryan.
He was on
and-
Family Ties.
He was in the Simpsons movie.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
even
you're
more
right. He was a
important.
lot different when he was younger than now. But like,
Yeah.
he's had a probably one of the best careers. You could compare it to like he's a little different than like De Niro, but like in terms of like important movies that he's been in, he's probably like up there with De Niro and Pacino and those guys. So originality. Now I give this a 7, but like I get that the way that they did the movie about like the topic was original, but they were also like basing it off of a book and real life.
Yeah.
So it's sort of hard to like give it high points for originality because it's like not like a biopic has never been done before. Like they've done lots of like biography movies, but the way they did it was really interesting. So that makes it above average for sure.
Yeah, I think this specific category made it low for me, so I gave it a 6. This is probably my lowest one, I think. But it's basically from the 3 reasons that you said. It's just like there's been a lot done. There wasn't anything super new, and it's maybe there was just 2 reasons. but yeah, it's just yeah. I liked it in all the other categories, but this category, it's like, oh yeah, it's familiar territory.
Yeah, I'd probably give it maybe a 7 or an 8, just because, like you said, it's based off of a book, so you can't give it really any higher than that. But it also, I mean, the whole thing with his girlfriend being like the whole catalyst to the entire thing. I mean, that's really original.
That's true.
Apparently a lot of the stuff with Eduardo was super original, and the Mark Zuckerberg stuff. So I think that they did a
took
good job of making it
Yeah.
more investing.
because that's what happens with movies. They take real life and then they make it more interesting than what real life actually was. Because
Thank
like
goodness.
you wouldn't want to watch like I mean even reality TV is just manufactured real life. You know, like you don't want to watch just like the boring
Like Kim
happenings.
Kardashian said, what?
Otherwise, it would be a documentary, right?
Yeah,
It wouldn't be a
basically.
movie.
Although there are some really incredible documentaries.
Yeah, I
Free
watched-
Solo.
I
That's a good one.
think I watched.
Fire Fraud, that one about that music festival.
I watched 2 or 3 documentaries that came out last year just in preparation for the Oscars, and they do a good job.
Tiger
those
King?
Documentaries.
Oh,
That's
Tiger
the one I
King.
missed. I still
Oh,
haven't seen
Tiger
it yet.
King was
It's so
so
good.
good.
Yeah.
That's the best documentary I've ever watched in my life. I'm that's a little bit exaggerating because but it's like it sort of just like starts and then it keeps getting crazy and you're like don't think it could get any more crazy, but it's insane.
I watched a documentary called How to Survive a Plague. It's about the AIDS crisis. It's pretty interesting.
I like the one about McDonald's. The one guy that eats all the McDonald's stuff. I forget
Super
what.
Size Me.
Yeah, that's the
That's
one.
a
I haven't watched
documentary?
that.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to watch that. Yeah.
What's that on?
It's on.
It's on Prime Video, actually. I think.
Yeah, there's several places.
I'm
you
staying
can
up
watch
tonight
It.
to watch that.
Yeah, it's very entertaining.
He-
Probably not in a good way.
He like purposely eats like McDonald's for 30 days or something like that.
Yeah.
He did something in Columbus recently too.
Really?
He was like supposedly starting this clean eating restaurant.
Oh, so this
then
guy's like not.
It was
doing
literally
He's got more range
down the
than
street from
Eduardo
here,
in the.
but it was fake. He was trying to show people that like the companies that advertise that they have good food, the food's actually not really that much better for you than a place like McDonald's. That was the whole point of his second documentary.
I like McDonald's.
And
I
that was a
agree.
big thing because like it was filmed in the area that we live in.
Yeah.
So next we have acting, which
Blake, do you have something to say?
What?
Did you raise your hand?
No.
Oh, okay.
okay.
I'm sorry.
So Blake's over there, just so you know. Now we can introduce you. Blake is like Zach's younger brother. He looks exactly like him. Pretty
just
much.
imagine me, but sitting right over there.
Yeah. So I gave acting a 9 because perfect acting is like a let me think. Is like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's what I would say perfect acting is.
Brad Pitt in that.
No,
I don't.
Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio is really good in it too, but Brad Pitt.
What?
is
Are
a
you
lot
kidding
better.
me
Brad
right
Pitt
now?
gives the better performance in that movie.
Okay, we're agreeing.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
What
Yeah,
did you
Leo
think? You
is
thought
good.
Leo gave a better one?
I thought that he was saying that Leo, but he said Brad Pitt, which
No,
I
I agree with that.
Brad Pitt's performance is amazing, but like that's also just like the best cast of characters that you can possibly, the
It's
best,
got, like, 3 of the
like
biggest
Margot
actors right
Robbie's in
now.
it, and she's just like sort of a side character.
she's just there.
Like, she's just sort of there. But so yeah, this is a 9 because it's as good as it could be with like the talent that they have.
Yeah, I feel like I'm underrating it because I gave it a 7, and I really like these actors a lot. I just think that maybe they should have had the side characters be better actors because you have 2 really good actors in the front, and you could have elevated the other actor.
What, Justin Timberlake wasn't good enough? He was perfect for
The only
this
thing
role.
is, I don't want to rate his character because I just wanted to punch his character. So I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
What about you, Jake?
Andrew Garfield, I think, gives the best performance of the movie.
For me, yes.
But Jesse Eisenberg
He was
really
snubbed
good.
from the Oscars for this, right?
Yeah, I think so. And Justin Timberlake needs to act more because he was very good in this.
Yeah, and in Trolls, which we reviewed on this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We had somebody on who really was like a Trolls apologist,
Tasha.
and she did like convince us that Trolls was a better movie than we would have originally thought. Okay, style. I gave this a 9. It's good.
I think
It's amazing.
fitting together, I'm saying an 8 right now.
An 8.
Even though my chart says 7. It's just I think
An
now
8,
that
yeah.
you're bringing all these things up, it's definitely an 8 for me. I think the way that the cuts come together, like the cinematography, the cuts come together with the music and we haven't got to music yet, obviously, because I think the music in this was incredible. I'll tell you in a minute. But I think that the acting with the cuts and like just the storyline of taking that boring storyline and actually making it super interesting made the style an 8 for me.
I pretty much agree with everything Zach said. Although I don't think the style was as noticeable as other movies. I mean, like movies like Inception, you can tell that it's a Christopher Nolan movie. A movie like Taxi Driver, Scorsese.
That's true. Taxi Driver has
Jaws,
a really good style.
Spielberg. But I don't know.
You don't think Fincher has a style that you can recognize?
No,
Well,
I think in this movie.
the thing is that this breaks away from like what he generally does. So
does the darker
he does,
serial
like,
killer
Seven,
stories.
like Fight Club, like those movies.
Zodiac.
Well, Gone Girl and Girl with a Dragon Tattoo both have sort of similar
Yeah.
styles.
I don't know. If you showed this to somebody who maybe wasn't as much of a big film fan, but they knew who some of the people were, I don't think they could tell you.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be able to be like, oh, this is the same guy who did Fight Club.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat, probably. You're probably right about that. It doesn't detract from like the fact that the style is good. It's just it's not necessarily as cohesive as like Tarantino or who like right off the bat.
You
if
can
it's
tell Once
Nolan
Upon a
or
Time
Tarantino-
in Hollywood's Tarantino.
No, like all of Tarantino's movies
You
are
mean
like
long?
Yeah.
they're long. Well, they're long in like the best possible way. Zach hasn't watched like Pulp Fiction or like.
I've seen Pulp Fiction.
Oh, you've seen Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Pulp Fiction. I mean, just any. I love all the Tarantino movies. He's my favorite director.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting to the part that I really want to talk about. This entire movie, I've been trying to hold back. The score. This soundtrack is the best. One of the best soundtracks I've ever heard, and like I actually heard it on good speakers this time, and it's just that much better. So Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails and his pal, who's also now in Nine Inch Nails, I think, Atticus Ross. This is sort of what got them into making film scores, and now they've done other stuff with David Fincher and Soul. And I give this one, if I didn't say it already, I give this a 10. It's like the perfect movie soundtrack.
A movie
up there
vault
with
10.
Donnie Darko, you know?
A movie
It doesn't have like Tears for Fears like Donnie Darko does, but like it's still good.
I gave this one an 8, and it's because it's the first time I'm watching it. I'm probably not as focused on the score, so I'm just kind of like, I thought it was really good because I did notice it many times throughout, but then there was a couple times where I'm like, wait, I just missed the score. There was like 3 times that I noticed that. So again, it's just probably my first perspective, the first time watching the movie.
I'd give it a 9, right in the middle. I think that it did have a really good score, but I don't think I could put it into 10 like some other movies that I'd put up there that have way more noticeable scores, like
Okay,
Halloween,
Taxi Driver is also
Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver.
What else?
But I think
yeah.
it has that influence on the movie.
Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse had a really good soundtrack.
That's true. It does. It does. And finally, choreography, which I feel like is this. I just
You just made it
I
one
made
point
it
lower.
1 point lower because like I just have to give it a 6. But like I don't know what we're judging choreography on in this
Yeah.
movie. It's like very subtle actions. It's just a very bad category to try to fit this
Yeah.
movie into. Like most movies, it works. You can find something like there's some sort of action sequence, but
There's
since this
nothing
has,
in this movie.
I know
So
it's
I'd
hard
have to
to
give it
put
a
in.
0. It doesn't have any.
That's
have
gonna
anything.
skew your score though.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Okay, I'll give it a 10.
it shows the imperfection of our 10-point system.
No.
Yeah. I think
because
you
script
can't-
should be on there instead of choreography, maybe.
That's an interesting suggestion. We might have to have some insight and votes on that because you're right. We don't really talk specifically about the writing. Although I suppose that's supposed to fit into like plot and character arcs. Like that should like summarize what the script is. But I get what you're saying with that. Like you could sort of like do the same thing with like dialogue. Like is the dialogue good? Like Tarantino can write like amazing dialogue out of like nothing.
So I actually gave this one a 6. I just thought it was average. You know, they're yelling. The mouths moving. This whole movie.
Things are happening.
The shuffling of papers and documents and signatures being made. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 out of 10 for documents and speaking.
So that brings my total to a 73%,
Only a 73. Mine's at 82.
which is very good for me and very good for Ben. Actually, it's extremely good for Ben.
He's a like intensely low rater.
This is my
Like,
second highest.
Yeah.
Like, he cannot rate movies high.
My
He doesn't
highest
know how
wasn't
to.
my highest a 74,
I think something like crazy.
and this
like
is a
that.
73. That's only 1 point lower than my highest, which was Tenet, I think.
I think Donnie Darko is high.
Donnie, I hope it's Donnie Darko.
I wasn't told to track this, so
That's-
Oh, that's
I
okay.
have no
We-
idea. It's
Yeah.
probably somewhere in like the 80s, probably.
In the 80s. That's why I'm guessing because you gave a few 8s and 7s, so it'd probably be somewhere similar to my score.
High 80s.
If you really want to know, you can go listen back through the podcast and do all the math, and you can send us an email so that way
Yeah.
we can like.
Please do
keep
that.
And then
track
you get a
of-
shout out.
Yes, and you get a shout out for that for sure. Okay, so now we go into Britta Moments with Britta.
Perry.
So this is, I don't know if you get this reference at all, but Zach and I bonded over the show Community.
We bonded.
Like, that's the first thing that we talked about really when we became close friends.
Besides high.
And Britta is played by Jillian Jacobs.
Oh,
and she's
yeah.
just like a terrible character
And
in
actress.
the entire show. Oh, we're getting that personal?
I'm getting personal, Jillian. I'm sorry.
We want her to be on the podcast.
I've seen a little bit of Community.
It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Writing and talk about
But
script and
it's
that.
but this is to like talk about plot holes and things we didn't like.
We're soon. I'm gonna announce it, Ben. We're gonna get a poster, something of Britta, sometime in the future.
So that way she'll always be like with
We can
us.
smack her. Well,
Yeah.
that's mean.
That would feel a little. I think we get in trouble for that.
Yeah, we should
can't
probably
do it.
just be like pointing at her.
Yeah.
Just like
Twitter,
that's-
the
that's
Twitter
her.
mob's gonna go after you.
Yeah, we
she
can't have
exists.
that happen. We're too small to like. I mean,
They would kill us.
they would.
We're too weak.
We
Yeah.
wouldn't have enough people to defend us.
Anyway, I think I don't know. When I think of Britta moments, I could unpack a lot.
Like a lot of the actors maybe are just sort of like overdoing it in some parts. Like the girlfriend. Like I don't know.
yeah, that was just like cheesy, and maybe they spent a little bit too much time on that specific element.
You actually, Zach brought up a point in the middle of it that It was right around the beginning when he got the idea for the relationship status thing. You called that out right in the middle of the movie. and I
That was
think
the
that's
big one.
That's the one that only really comes to mind to me.
Yeah, there was a part where Mark or Jesse Eisenberg, Heisenberg, that's
Heisenberg.
Breaking Bad. Okay, anyway, he hears someone say like, "Oh, did you hear if this girl's single or not? I wish there was a way to know," or something like that. And he's like, you can see the light bulb above his head, figuratively, and he runs and goes and updates.
He does it very quickly.
He he literally runs from that conversation to go update his computer and code in a relationship status thing bar. And I was like, that's not accurate. I'm sorry. Like, there's no way someone's in a conversation, runs out, and updates it like that.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe the idea came from a conversation with his friend or somebody like that, but I doubt that it actually occurred like that quickly, you know? So
Yeah, they do that a lot in movies and TV shows. The whole like run away from a conversation.
it's like,
thing.
oh, that's where that came from. I hate those. I hate
Yeah.
those so much. Like, we can infer for ourselves where that came
Yeah,
from.
like you don't have to spell it out for us.
Yeah. Anyway, it reminds me of I think it's in Dark Knight Rises. There's one scene where like it's like, and he gave him a coat, and he like puts a coat on him, and like shows a flashback.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Dark Knight Rises, I think, has a lot of plot holes though.
Dark Knight Rises might be worse, Nolan, from the ones I've seen. I haven't seen Memento, Following, or Insomnia, but I've
He
seen.
used to see
haven't-
Memento. He always talks to me about that.
I need to
Memento's
watch
my
Memento.
favorite, yeah. But I haven't seen a lot of Nolan movies either. Because I haven't seen like Interstellar or The Prestige, which are like a lot of
Prestige
people.
is one of my favorites.
A lot of people love
Super
those.
underrated.
But now we can get into the stock market. So we wanted to have like a discussion about David Fincher because okay, so he's kind of a hard guy to invest in because now he's sort of doing like his own thing. Like he's accomplished so much that like now he's doing like Mindhunter, and he just came out with this movie called Mank that's sort of like a lot of critics really like, but some just like general film watchers were like it's a little too artsy for their taste. It's like a little less mainstream. I haven't actually watched it yet.
I have
I'll
the
get
list
around
of
to it.
movies, and we can go through
Okay.
them. So, Fight Club.
So that's my second favorite.
Okay, I have only seen two
You've only
Fincher
seen two.
movies, and
I will tell you the ones I watched where they're ranked in my rankings.
okay, and then Seven. Have either of you seen that?
I've seen Seven. That's my favorite.
Gone Girl,
It's third,
Zodiac.
fourth.
Yeah, Zodiac.
So Social Network is fifth out of the six that I watched.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because Social Network's next.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
I've seen that one, and it was a little too dark. Like
Mank. I've seen.
you've seen.
I thought it was pretty good.
That's why I'm thinking that it would be a movie that I would like. Compared to this list, I might not rank very high. Like
Yeah, it's
like
not
it
as
would.
nearly as enjoyable as any
I would
others.
guess that it would go above Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, but below Social Network. And Social Network, I think Fight Club has the most potential to go down because Fight Club is a cool movie, but like, I think if you think about the story, it's a little bit less. We'll have to review that one on the podcast. All of these would be good ones to review actually at some point.
Benjamin Button.
Other than, I haven't seen Benjamin Button.
I actually own that movie, but I haven't seen it yet. The Game.
Oh no, The Game is one that I want to watch. The Game and Panic Room, right?
Yeah,
another
Panic
one.
Room is the next one.
Those are some of the smaller Fincher movies that I haven't seen, and a lot of people are like, yeah, they're pretty good. Like, you need to check them out.
And then the movie I refuse to see, Alien 3.
Oh yeah,
Because I love
I've
Alien
heard-
and Aliens,
well,
so I refuse to watch it.
To be fair to David Fincher, he had like very little control over this movie.
Yeah.
Like he was basically he almost didn't want to make movies after Alien 3. Like it was that bad of an experience for
That
him.
was his first movie.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
a rough
disappointing.
one. And to think about, like, he did end up. So Alien was directed by Ridley Scott, right? And then Aliens was directed by James Cameron. So those are like two legendary directors. So then Fincher gets Alien 3, which you think would be great for his career, but it was terrible. So
Should be one of the best trilogies ever. But
so
it's not.
it went downhill. But Fincher resurrected his career even after having a great opportunity that turned into a bad one, and then like now he could be probably considered up there with James Cameron.
But
and
Ridley Scott and James Cameron were both already well known.
No, I don't think they were. I think that was Ridley Scott's first big film.
Ridley
Seriously.
Scott is pretty, like, he's not nearly well as
James
loved
Cameron.
as now because he really only made 3 significant movies.
Gladiator
Blade Runner and Alien.
and Thelma and Louise.
Oh yeah,
Can't
he
forget
did
about
make that,
one.
but I don't think
It's not.
It's
more
not
of a
nearly
niche.
as popular.
It's a more of a niche movie. You're right. Those
Yeah.
three are much bigger than the rest.
Those
of his
3 are all
films.
really good though. Blade Runner's probably my least favorite, but I need to rewatch that one.
I need to watch
I
that.
love
It's on
Gladiator.
Hulu right
It's
now.
in top 10 for me of all time.
Wait, what? Gladiator.
Gladiator and Alien
I've been
probably.
told that Gladiator is very good, but of several people, including the Oscars, actually, because didn't it win Best Picture?
I don't know. I think it did. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure it won Best Picture, and it has Joaquin Phoenix in it, so you know.
Well, he's
Joker.
one of the best villains I've seen in movies so far. Probably top 10. I don't know if he's a super high, but he's really good in it.
Yeah, so I'm working through Fincher. The only guy I've really got through most of his filmography is Tarantino. I haven't watched Death Proof, but I'm getting around to it. I swear, Brian, if you're out there, I'm gonna watch it some one of these days. So anybody else? I mean, Eisenberg is sort of like, I feel like if you would have invested in him, his career is sort of like plateaued. Maybe it hasn't necessarily gone up.
I don't
in
think it's
Batman
gone
v
up or
Superman.
down. I think it's just always.
Yeah, he's a very
like this.
consistent actor.
If he's good in the Snyder
This is
Cut,
like the biggest
then-
movie that he was. Oh, is because he's Lex Luthor, but this is like other than like, I guess he was in Zombieland. Like those are big movies, but this
Yeah.
is probably one of the most important ones that he's been in.
For a familiar face, he's not in that many movies.
That's
Yeah.
true. He has a very distinct, I guess, presence, so you would notice him if he's in a movie, but he's not actually in a ton. And then Armie Hammer would be a terrible investment. What was he in, like Lone Ranger after this or something?
I don't know. I feel like he's a relatively popular actor, but I can't think of anything he's in.
The only other thing I can think of is Lone Ranger, and that was a bust. So he is actually 6'5", though. So
Yeah.
he was in Call Me by Your Name. That's like an indie film. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. That was Guy Ritchie. So I guess he's been in stuff. Yeah.
The only one I've heard of there is Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah, and then let me think. Who else is in this movie? Justin Timberlake, you would think, but I'm not sure he would actually be that great of an investment, at least from an acting standpoint.
I mean, he's in Trolls.
Yeah. So
That's
he's
true.
done something.
Yeah, and
It was like
but
the
his
first
music has
straight
not-
to streaming movie of last year. Trolls World Tour was.
Oh man, I've heard that was bad.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I haven't. That's
on,
not high
guys.
on my priority
Come
list.
on. I'm just
Yeah, I tried in terms of 2020 movies. I tried watching ones that I have bet would be somewhere in the Oscars, so I can actually watch it and understand it. And that's not on there, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
high in my priority list at all.
Hey, if you haven't watched Palm Springs from 2020, I know you have and you have, but like everyone out
No,
there.
I haven't.
You
I
haven't seen Palm
seen it,
Springs? I
no.
mean, I know it's not going to be like in the Oscars,
Yeah.
but I loved it. It was amazing.
It was very fun.
Have you seen the Trial of Chicago 7?
I haven't. It's on my Netflix list, but I have not seen it
That's
yet.
probably my second favorite. I like Tenet, Trial of Chicago 7, and Minari, which I got a screening for on A24.
Would Minari count as 2021? Or
No, it's a 2020 release,
So
but-
is Nomadland also 2020?
Yeah,
Is it-
Nomadland, I think it was in my top 10, but I didn't love it as much as other people
Yeah, a lot of
did.
people like really liked it, but I mean, that's
Minari's my favorite.
I'll have to watch both
But
of them
Minari,
at some point.
Minari costs a lot of money if you want to rent it. I
I
spent
know.
probably too much money to rent that movie.
Yeah, because the
But-
way that A24 is trying to make money off of it,
But it was my favorite movie of 2020, so
That-
it might
yeah.
be worth it.
it might be worth
I
it.
saw like 30 movies last year, and it's at number one.
That is one thing that I'm not as good as is keeping up with new movies that
I
come
tried
out.
to do it this year.
Yeah.
But
I'm really good with music in that regard, but not movies. I mean, yeah, Fincher. I mean, there's always Andrew Garfield's probably a good investment. He's probably going to be in other big stuff. And everyone else is just sort of like they're probably like good actors, and some of them might have even been in other big movies, but they wouldn't strike me as like the people who would be fast risers
I
necessarily.
do think we also have to state the fact that this movie came out like 5 or 6 years after the story takes place.
And then it probably started production even earlier than that.
well,
so
they
it might
want to
have-
make a sequel. Aaron Sorkin wants to make a sequel, but
Really?
he'll only do it if David Fincher comes in.
Which-
and David Fincher's not gonna.
Yeah,
do that.
he
doesn't
do-
like sequels.
He doesn't like sequels. Well, Alien 3. You wonder why
Yeah,
he doesn't
but
like
he only did one.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to make multiple of any movie.
No, and most of his movies don't really. Even this movie, I don't think really. I don't know that. I mean,
There's-
I trust Aaron Sorkin, but I don't know that this movie could really.
Yeah, there have been some
Lend
big
itself.
Facebook things since then. There have
That-
been a
you
lot
are
of
right.
controversies.
He's been.
I think that's what he wanted to adapt some of the controversies that they.
I'm sure Mark
had since
Zuckerberg
then.
would love that.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg.
Especially the privacy stuff.
His stock probably went down after this
Yeah,
movie.
I think it was the privacy stuff is like the thing he wants to do, which I don't know. It could work if he gets some of the cast back.
I would watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would watch it. I would watch it too, obviously. Feedback. Have we gotten a lot of feedback? I mean, not really, other than we heard from Bernie, which we talked about, and so, yeah, that was cool. And so our final conclusions about the movie. I think this is one of the most well-made movies well-made biopics. I don't know that I've seen that many biopics, but it's probably the most well-made biopic. Like I guess the Mr. Rogers one's the only
Have
other
you
one.
seen
That
Bohemian
comes-
Rhapsody?
I have not seen Bohemian Rhapsody.
I heard that one was not very good.
I liked it.
He
some
likes
people,
Queen
some
a
people
lot,
liked
though.
it though.
I
It
love
seemed to
Queen,
be
yeah.
pretty in the middle for a lot of
so
people.
it's a good biopic with like some fancy editing, and you should watch it because it's important, and Quentin Tarantino likes it. Anyway,
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think that this movie is well edited, well made, well acted by the core characters. Maybe not some of the side characters, but overall, I think this movie is top watch.
top watch.
Top watch. It's in my top 3 of all time. And yeah, it's really good.
Okay, so Jake, thanks for coming on the Movie Vault. And we always say this every week, but next week we don't know what movie we're doing because we usually base it around what guest is coming on, and we never plan that far ahead. So
Just shows our
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was invited yesterday.
yes, yes, you were invited yesterday.
It's the truth.
So we'd love to have you on again if you want to come on again sometime. But we get it. We do procrastinate a lot, so this whole process took a while. So we close the vault after every episode. We're very like meta with our vault. Like we Zach and I live in this vault. It's kind of our home, and we go back in every week and we added this movie to the collection. So now we have 27 movies that we can watch.
Okay.
I think we're about to be on the second shelf.
And you can the second shelf. How many are we at?
It can only hold about 30 movies
30
per
movies
shelf.
per shelf.
Yeah.
What happens when we run out of shelf space?
We just buy a new one.
New vault.
No, new shelf.
Okay. Well, what if we fill up all the shelves possible with the space in the vault?
Then we renovate the vault.
Well, we
to
could build
become
like
larger.
a library thing, like down the center, because we don't need that much space.
Yeah, no, I guess you're right. We could just
Yeah.
get rid of the shelves and start stacking them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anyway.
Would you like to close the vault? You can just make any closing noise that comes to your head.
All right. Goodbye.
Army Hammer.